In this video, we're going to look at how to use the Authentications page in the dashboard. First of all, you'll notice that we have a Download CSV button. This can be used at any point after you've applied filters to download whatever is shown on the page in CSV format. The CSV file can be opened up in any spreadsheet program, for example in Excel. Next, we have the Date-Time selector over to the top right. You can open up the Date-Time selector simply by clicking on it. As you can see, we have a few handy preset options. Please note, by default, when you first load the page, the last 7 days of data is shown. However, we also have presets for today, yesterday, the last 7 days, the last 30 days, this month, which will actually show data up till today, the last month, this year, which will show all the data from the beginning of the year until today, and last year. Finally, we have the ability to set a custom date range so you can choose what date range you would like to view the data over. The data point changes depending on the amount of data in the date range. For example, if I was to select today, we would see the data broken down into hourly points. Yesterday is also broken down into hourly points. The last 7 days, the last 30 days, this month and last month are broken down into daily points. And this year and last year is broken down into monthly points. The custom date range depends on the amount of data into what the points will be broken down into. For example, if I was to span 4 years, it will break the data down into yearly points. As you can see, the data is displayed in graph format as well as table format. You can hover over the points on the graph to see more information about that point. We also have the ability to turn the unique users or authentications on or off from the graph. This allows you to focus on one type of data. On the table, we have the various points listed from oldest to newest. We then have the Authentications column, which shows the authentications for that data point. At the bottom of the table, we have the total number of authentications. Finally, we have the unique user counts. This displays the unique users for that particular data point. We then have the total amount of unique users over that date range. Please note, this is not a total of adding up each data point, it is the total amount of unique users over that date range. In this case, we can see that we have had 34 unique users from 2015 to 2018. We have a number of filters that you can use to create a laser-targeted report. These filters can be combined, as we will see shortly, to create a very powerful report. The first filter is the filter by service providers. This filter allows you to see the authentications to a specific service provider or a few service providers. If you want to see authentications to multiple resources or service providers, the Resources Statistics page would be the best place to perform that report, and you can find this link under the Statistics menu. Using the filters is very easy and intuitive. Once you click on the box, you will be presented with the list. You can then scroll this list and simply click on the service providers that you would like to add. If you have set friendly names for the service providers, you will see the friendly name here, otherwise you will see the entity ID. For example, we have set the friendly name G Suite for our Google Apps service provider. We will automatically add any service providers that we find in the IDP log files to this list. If you do not see the service provider that you are looking for here, it's most likely due to the fact that there haven't been any authentications to that service provider. To remove service providers from the filter, you can simply press the backspace button on your keyboard. As the list of service providers can be quite long, you can also start typing in the name of the service provider or its entity ID, and the list will be filtered. For example, if I look for EasyPeasy SP, our WordPress plugin, I can see that the list brings up the EasyPeasy SP development site. You can add multiple service providers just by simply clicking on each service provider you would like to add to the list. The graph and table data below is automatically updated as soon as you add in any filter, as you can see the graph updating below. The filter by auth types allows you to find out how many authentications are happening with users typing in their username and password to the IDP, and how many are happening with Seamless Single Sign-On. If you have Seamless Single Sign-On, you will also see Kerberos as an authentication type listed here. This can give you an indication then of how many authentications happened on-site or off-site. You simply just need to click the checkbox next to the item or items that you would like to filter by. Filter by attributes sent will display any attributes that have been found to be released in the IDP logs. Using this filter, you'll be able to see how many authentications have released a certain attribute. For example, you can see how many authentications have released any one of the attributes listed in the filter. As you can see here, I've added 3 attributes to the filter. Filter by profiles allows you to see how many authentications have either happened over SAML1 or SAML2. You should hopefully see your SAML1 authentications declining over the near future, as this is now a deprecated method in favour of SAML2. At Overt Software we have very little authentications on SAM1 as we purely use SAML1 to test certain service providers. The majority of our authentications happen over SAML2. We also have the ability to filter by users. Please note this will initially be greyed out for you with an enable button. When you enable this, it is then tracked in the dashboard logs so that the dashboard admin is able to see who has activated this feature. Filtering by users is very simple. You just need to type in the user's username that they use to log into the IDP. You can filter by multiple users just by comma separating them. This then allows you to see the authentications for a specific user or set of specific users. Finally, we have the filter by groups filter. The filter by groups is reliant upon Active Directory. You can set the Active Directory or LDAP attribute to synchronize here by going into the dashboard settings. This will then automatically display any groups from your Active Directory. This then allows you to quickly see what the authentication usage is for each Active Directory group or set of Active Directory groups. Now we know what each of the filters do, you can combine them to create a report on what you specifically need. For example, in this report I want to see how many authentications finance have had to our Google Apps service provider in the last 30 days. I simply set the filter by service providers to G Suite, I then set the filter by groups to finance, and finally I set the date to the last 30 days. I can then download a CSV file of this easily by clicking Download CSV and opening up the file in my spreadsheet software.